Our praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to come to His house. We ask Allah to accept our ibadah and forgive our shortcomings. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. One of the very important aspects of our faith is complete and full reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى الْحَيِّ الَّذِي لَا يَمُوتُ وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِهِ. That put your trust in that being, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is ever living, Al-Hayy. And when we acknowledge the power of Allah and the ever living component of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is easier for us to put our full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we know that the powers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are such that nothing of this world has the means to stop whatever Allah wishes. And nothing of this world has the means to take away from something if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not wish and want. This is why as a believer, it is a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His Habib sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and then this commanded extended to all the believers, that no matter what the situation looks like, your reliance in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should not decrease. And every single day in our life, Allah Azza wa Jal gives us the opportunity to practice and exercise this. And each time in every scenario, when a person delivers what Allah wants from him as part of him believing in Allah and putting his full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the gifts of Allah Azza wa Jal descends upon this individual. And those gifts are beyond the means and understanding of this human being, because this is only granted to those people who has full reliance on Allah, upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why it is our responsibility that every single day our trust in Allah should increase, and we should only put our trust in Allah Azza wa Jal no matter how things are looking like. If they are favorable or they are feeble, but our reliance on Allah should always increase. And this is what the Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een, they showed by their action that no matter how situations and conditions are, we are always going to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, we want certain things to happen in certain ways, because we think that if it happens this way, it's going to have this effect. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His plans, there are certain things that will happen according to the plan of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And my plan is very weak, and it has no value, and it has no stability, and on top of that, it has no guarantee. But the plan of Allah is the only plan that works. And the plan of Allah is the only plan that is going to make things right. So what is my duty? I need to take away whatever experience of mine that I have on certain things that it needs to happen in this way for it to flourish or become successful. Take all of my experiences out, and then put my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's where our tawakkul comes in. That whatever way we want things to be done, we are doing it, but then it doesn't happen that way. We should not become frustrated and say, okay, it's not going to work now. It's not going to happen now. Because I was never the one that was making this happen. It is Allah who makes it happen, and it is my duty to do my part and then put my full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask the Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us the ability and the strength. And today that we recited from Surah Hud, the story of Nuh alayhi salam and his son, this is a very important example for all of us. Nuh alayhi salam, he wanted certain things to happen for his family and especially for his son. But Allah didn't want it that way. And Nuh alayhi salam tried his best, but at the end, he put his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by asking Allah for forgiveness. وَإِلَّا تَغْفِرْ لِي وَتَرْحَمْنِي أَكُمْ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. That if Allah doesn't forgive me and does not pardon my shortcomings, then I will be amongst the losers. That's why we have to have full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and at the same time do our part. We ask Allah to grant us the understanding and the ability to practice. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا